We have more topics to get to. Who has the next one? Because this one, speaking of controversial, speaking of controversial, we have a game developer, former composer from Capcom, still active in the industry, has a ton of credits. I think most Nintendo fans would know their credits from the Ace Attorney franchise. They've done a ton of music for Ace Attorney. They popped off on Twitter. So, Gaber, what are we talking about?
All right. So, former Capcom Dev stands behind many of Nintendo's controversial decisions. This is former Capcom composer Masakusa Sugimori, who has made music for games like Nate said, Ace Attorney. Let's pull up the tweet really quick. Share my screen.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. 1 second. Whoops. Give me one second.
Whoopsies. You forgot how to use computers, guys. It's okay.
Yes, I did. Hold on.
I know. He's been too busy editing.
I'm gonna fix it.
If it's not video
guys,
editing,
fill the. I need my glasses.
Oh,
fill this up. Let's see.
Do you need glasses? Did you intentionally not wear them?
Yes.
I used to do the same thing. You know, they invented these things called contacts.
Contacts.
I hated them too. I hated contacts.
Me.
And they don't fit my eyes right because I have really bad astigmatism. So I have to get like the super ultra expensive special order $500 for 6 months edition. Yeah, I don't listen when they say, "Oh yeah, change them every month." Hell no, I pay $500 for these fucking things.
Yeah,
dude, I'm getting at least a year out of that. Like, Jesus, a lot of money. That said, I don't know if I've ever seen you wear glasses. Oh no, I have. I have off.
No, you have. I did wear them on. I did wear them on one stream.
Okay.
Once.
I have glasses too. You guys like rarely ever see me put them on, but I have worn them before on the show. Usually, if I was naughty and didn't take my contacts out for a few days, and I'm like, uh-oh. Need to get my eyeballs a rest. Oh, that is. So we can get that bigger. Can we zoom that in?
Let's see.
It's so huge.
Whoops.
That's what she said.
You know what else is? I was gonna say, you know what else is massive?
You set me up for that.
Yeah, I totally did. I was waiting for it. I mean, I might be
here. Can someone? I'm having difficulties. Can someone share the tweet for me, please?
Oh boy, I will try to get you, buddy. I've never seen this much difficulties with shit. With
dude, what the
screen. Oh shit, I don't even have it open to it.
I can share it. I have it open.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Thank you. Jeez Louise.
I've never seen someone have so much problems hitting share screen, click a button, and then like Control Plus to zoom in. It's okay.
There we go. It's because right. I'm on one monitor right now.
Yeah, I know. One monitor is a pain in the ass.
It's so it's like a major.
You guys got it.
Yeah, can you zoom in? There we go. Now
perfect. All right, I'm just gonna need you to scroll for me as I read.
Yeah, I'll follow along.
So I'm gonna butcher the name. Masakusa says, adding 1 point to the current flow of conversation regarding the claim often heard overseas that seems to have some legitimacy. It's unfair that something you bought becomes unplayable when the service ends. As a player myself, I can understand this perspective, and I sometimes feel the same way. But, well, do physical items outside of digital products last forever? Most of the time, they don't, right? Physical things always have a lifespan and will eventually break. Digital products, on the other hand, generally don't have a lifespan. This is one major fundamental factor. Personally, I think Nintendo's moves have had the following significance. Keycards, measures against illegal copying, reducing the risk of holding inventory, raising game prices, waving the flag so that game companies struggling with recent inflation can raise prices, terminating online services for older hardware, setting a lifespan. This makes it easier for companies to re-release games on new hardware. To put it further, it creates the job of porting. I feel that these moves are largely aimed at protecting the gaming industry and the digital entertainment industry. It might be a bit too optimistic of a view, but the fact is that because Nintendo takes the lead, other companies can more easily follow suit to protect themselves. Do you think a company that's already made that much profit would do this just to make even more money? LOL. Laughing hysterically out loud, by the way. So I've heard. Even if they stop selling anything right now, they have enough cash reserves to support all their current employees until retirement. Laughing even more hysterically. He laughed like a maniac right there. It's so incredible. It's almost ridiculous. Ultimate laughter. I feel that their focus is on how to move in a way that protects the industry. That's just the sense that I get.
All right, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. I also think it's notable. I also think it's very notable when you guys are hearing this that Nintendo doesn't have somebody hoarding the money. Okay? There's no incentive for the CEO to just hoard the money. They're actually one of the lowest paid CEOs in the industry. There's no money hoarding going on, which is very popular at a lot of Western companies where people at the top are just making really big bucks and the employees below are not. Nintendo actually has the second highest salary of all companies in Kyoto, where a majority of their game developers are. And they have actually raised everyone's salaries as inflation has gone up and the yen's had shit problems in Japan. Nintendo actually raised everyone's salaries. So like Nintendo basically spreads the wealth. They give it to their employees. Just to kind of frame why a person within the industry will look at Nintendo's move as maybe it's not as greedy as you think it is because they're actually taking care of people.
Yeah.
All right.
And then this reply is worth reading because he replies to this one directly.
Sure. Yep.
Gotcha. Jersey says, I love the music of Ace Attorney, so reading this made me sad. As a creator and artist, you should understand that taking away the right to use cultural works purchased legally from buyers leads to the disappearance of those works. Corporations are not on your side. You write about piracy, but games that are no longer sold and cannot legally be obtained, for example, due to expired licenses, are often preserved through piracy. The video game industry has long fought for games to be recognized as art, but we tend to treat games like fast food. We buy them, we play them, and we buy them again.
Okay. Then he replied,
thank you. Regarding the issue of purchase items becoming unusable due to service termination, as someone who plays games myself, I certainly have my own thoughts on the matter. With that in mind, let me offer a counter argument. We cannot demand that a company continue a service while forcing them to operate at a loss. And terminating an old service as a strategy to promote a new one, how is that any different from Apple phasing out older iPhone models? Isn't it the same thing? So, from the perspective of a company, I could understand their position to a certain extent. That's what I wrote about. Another point about piracy, I acknowledge that it serves as a function as a library. However, there are two practical issues, aren't there? When old games are re-released on modern hardware, are they permanently removed from the library? They wouldn't be, right? Even for old games, it's not that there are no rights holders. It's just that the rights holders haven't re-released them. In fact, pirated versions can hinder official re-releases. Are people really not illegally copying current software? I recognize that if something can be copied, it is being copied. If it's not a gray area, there are people who engage in outright illegal activities. And that's why it has to be deemed universally unacceptable by law. If you don't like that, then you yourself should properly control piracy. I've seen moments where illegally copying nearly destroyed the gaming industry. And having personally experienced damage from illegal copying, I know firsthand the harmful impact it has on the industry. I have absolutely no intention of condoning it.
You want me to read this? And
Sure.
you want to read? Yeah. You can read the response. Okay. So
yeah,
Jersey
I like that.
Said,
some role play.
Yeah, a little role play like we're in school again. All right. So Jersey said, concerns about piracy and server maintenance cost are understandable. The important thing is that physical media doesn't come with such cost. Thanks to that, we can play most of the classic games from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Piracy is a more complex issue. This is because pirates generally always find ways to obtain games for free or at a very low cost. For example, there are websites that resell PC game keys. If the security of the Switch 2 is breached, pirates will likely be able to copy games released on key cards as well. They always find a way. The worst part is that legitimate buyers end up suffering. I myself am a collector, but I also create gaming videos and have released small indie games. I have a large collection of Switch 1 cartridges and have owned the Switch 2 since its launch. But if the Nintendo Switch 2 version uses key cards, I still prefer buying the Switch 1 package version. I think many other gamers feel the same way. My friends do too. Greetings from Poland. And then there's...
All right. Including those from outside Japan, pirated ROMs were widely circulated in Japan. And during the DS and 3DS eras, Japan game companies suffered tremendous damage. You know about this, right? Even so, the fact that physical ROMs were made alongside digital versions up until now was, in my view, truly a matter of creators' pride. It's obvious that digital software, which can be addressed through account bans, is overwhelmingly easier to deal with when it comes to piracy. The gaming industry has been increasingly concerned by costs in recent years, so I think it's only natural that they've shifted in that direction. As one of the creators, rather than blaming that shift, I'd prefer people to blame the pirated copies caused by illegal copying. The gaming industry has to protect the next generation of the industry. Thus, the history of the industry can also be called a history of battling piracy. Because of this, legitimate users like yourself end up facing inconveniences. I think you are blaming the wrong target.
I think that was it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There was a reply he did, I think, to his own as well, but it's just a very small little thing. I can't remember what he said, but
so there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack, and I know this exchange is going to be, especially, we talk about the negativity, not just surrounding Switch 2, but just surrounding the industry lately online, that this definitely generated some negativity in conversations. But what do you think about what this developer has to say about key cards, about Nintendo's tactics, and how he feels that these are measures to help protect gaming, protect the industry? Do you think it's a BS full of it? What are your guys' takeaways from this, and the piracy side or the side of services being terminated? Let's start with Prime.
So I think that there's always two sides to every coin, and he kind of referenced that, like, as a gamer, his gamer thoughts are slightly different than his industry thoughts, right? Like, because from the gamer perspective, we want prices to be cheaper, right? We don't want prices to go up. We want physical games to keep existing. We don't want digital copies to rule the day, because there is that threat of a shop going down and you can't re-download the copy anymore. Even though at that point the system's probably been hacked and you can dump it and the ROM's probably online anyways. That dives then into the piracy aspect, because they might re-release those games, right? So I think that it's like a double-edged sword, because Nintendo is always going to be viewed as a greedy company when they make these decisions, because they are $100 billion company. They're on top of the industry right now, and they don't need more money. Like, they can take the hit and not raise prices. They could take the hit and not have these policies. They could take the hit and close shops or keep shops open and eat the cost, even if it loses the money. Like, they can keep the Wii U, the Wii, the 3DS eShops open and take the hit, right? Like, it's not going to sink their company. But I think what the Capcom dev here is saying is he's like, yeah, but there are companies that this is a legitimate problem for, and they can't take the hit. But if they are the ones that lead the way in increasing prices and closing down things before people want them to, they're going to get such a backlash that it could legitimately end jobs and careers. And we see this in the industry already, all the job losses and everything, where like those companies could be in danger. So if a bigger company that can take the backlash and survive it, and like Switch 2 is getting blasted, but it's still selling decent, like a company like that takes all the brunt of it, when other companies do things like raise prices at a smaller amount, end services that aren't as extreme, they don't get the same sort of backlash, and as such end up actually benefiting their companies. And I think that's the way he's sort of viewing it as, yeah, as a gamer, this feels like crap, but when you're in the industry, kind of feels like Nintendo's taking bullets for all of us so we can do things that we need to do in order to keep our companies afloat and get back to where we want to be. That kind of feels like where he's got that conundrum where he's like, yeah, I'm going to keep offering these counter arguments because all the arguments for the consumer, the pro-consumer arguments, they're already being made. Those have been being made this whole time. We just talked about all the negative videos being like the top viewed videos on YouTube. All those videos are all about being pro-consumer, and everything Nintendo's doing is making the video game industry worse. And I think that there is basically truth on both sides to this. I don't think either side is wrong. One's only going to care about the consumer. The other one's going to be, well, I care about the consumer, but I also don't want our companies to go under because the industry has shifted. Free-to-play games. There's a lot of indie games that are upset at Silksong. That was a big thing. They're $20, and their products are going to be viewed as lesser products. But they just can't be profitable at 20. They got to charge 40. Are they going to be negatively impacted that people won't buy their game at 40 now because they expect a Silksong quality game at 20? And then are the $20 games going to be devalued because the expectations have now risen because of that game? Now, I do think that is a little overblown. I think in general, most of us understand that like Team Cherry and Silksong, this feels like a very one-off thing. A game that's been in development this long, hyped this long in the indie scene. We don't get games like hyped this long in the indie scene. So I think most gamers will be fairly understanding. But as I say that, I'm coming from the space of someone who plays a shitload of games. Some people that play games, they only play 1 or 2 a year, and they might actually be like, no, I bought Silksong. What's the next indie game I buy? Well, this $20 game looks like, I checked howtobeat.com or how long to beat, and also, man, it's only like 10 hours. That's like half to a third of the content of Silksong. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm not gonna buy that $20 game. And I feel like that is where Nintendo comes in. And I actually use this analogy. I know people blasted me for it. Silksong costs $5 more than Hollow Knight. It actually went up in price, game to game. I get it. Who cares about $5? I understand arguing that the game is worth $20. It's clearly worth $20. And yeah, a lot of people feel like Hollow Knight was one of the greatest values in the indie scene when it came out at 15. And I get that. But they were an unproven studio selling at $15. Very unproven. So while we look at it as, oh, what a great value, nobody knew the game was going to be good. It just turned out it was really, really, really good. It was their first game. So when they brought out Hollow Knight, it went up $5. And people say, well, that kind of costs the cover of inflation from the last game that came out, right? You look at the last game, $15. Inflation is $20 today. Well, the fun fact about that, if you want to make the inflation argument, and this is where like Nintendo bites the bullet, when Mario Kart 8 released on Wii U, if you account for inflation, it's $80 today. And what does Mario Kart World cost? Someone's got to bite the fucking bullet and take all the backlash so other companies can do it and not get backlash. And I'm not saying Hollow Knight would have ever gotten backlash for just going up $5. They basically just kept the same price point with inflation. And other companies might try to do the same thing. If you were a $40 indie game, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you're now with inflation releasing the same game at the same quality today, but like a sequel or whatever, to make the same level of profits that are going to matter for your company. You're now selling at $55 to $60. That looks really bad to consumers, because the unfortunate reality is most of us haven't seen our revenue go up, our income go up with inflation. But that's also true for these people where money's worth a lot less for them, and now they're making less per copy. So it's it's a very sticky situation. So I understand from the business side where they're coming from. But as a consumer, yeah, it doesn't feel good. None of it feels good. And that's why I think it's like a double-edged sword where no one really wants, like, I don't think game developers want this stuff to happen. They don't want prices to go up. They don't want, but also it's the reality of the world that we live in. And that's for piracy, just to kind of get this out of the way. Pirates are always going to pirate. And I know there's like all this evidence out there that piracy has never ruined anything. Well, the guy said he knows from experience that piracy has actually caused real harm to himself. Like he's actually had something personal happen. I don't know if it's a job opportunity he lost. Like maybe he was working on a re-release and working on a new soundtrack for it or a remastered soundtrack. And maybe the game got canceled because of rampant piracy of it. They thought it wasn't going to sell well. Like just because we look at the public thing and go, well, you know, Tears of the Kingdom was heavily pirated, but still sold 20 million copies. You're looking at the top end of the industry where the biggest of the big games are probably not going to be that impacted by piracy. They're going to be the most pirated games, but the people pirating it were never going to actually spend money on it. When you're working on a smaller scale game, that's where piracy of those games comes in. And it's like, damn, that impacts real sales those games need to continue to exist and can cost people jobs, can cost people harm. You know, the whole music industry had a huge adjustment period where like with all the music being pirated with MP3s and all that back in the day, and it still happens all the way to today. It's just they've now emphasized, Napster and everything. They've now emphasized, well, the way to make money now is to do concert tours. And so you're seeing a lot more concert tours, and that's where a lot of the money's coming from. And yeah, thankfully it's been really successful. People still love going to live concerts, and they probably always will because there's just something special about a live show that, you know, you just can't get at a home experience. I know that just from, I went to a concert this last summer for, with Yulia. We talked about it before. It was, oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank on what artist it was, but it was a really fucking good time. And
yeah, I remember that.
And so it's like, that is not replaceable by anything. Well worth the ticket of admission, even though it was expensive. That experience and the fun we had, that's probably the most fun me and my wife have had together doing anything in a hell of a long time. Like the best date night we've had in forever. I'd spend that money again tomorrow if I could have that experience again tomorrow. So, yeah, the concerts seem to provide some pretty good stuff there. So the music industry had to adjust. The problem with the game industry is, how do you adjust? Do you just make your game free to play? But then if that's the case, then every game is microtransaction hell, because that's how you make money in the free to play space. And is that what you want gaming to be? Like, I'm okay with it. Like, Fortnite doesn't bother me, but I don't want every game to be that. And so I kind of feel like from the industry side, you know, and let's not kid ourselves, piracy isn't just rampant with old games. It's rampant with the new stuff. Every Nintendo Switch exclusive leaked online a week or two before the game even came out. And while we focus on Nintendo's games when that happens, because they're the ones getting the most attention, it wasn't just their games getting leaked. Think about indie games that took a shot at a physical copy that you never heard from after. There's been studio closures of companies that released physical games on Switch. I don't know if piracy is why, but it certainly didn't help. So yeah, you have to wonder at times, you know, because again, the guy says from experience, he knows, like, I know we have no like actual raw data to prove that piracy has hurt the industry. But that's because
you don't need any.
Well, yeah, and you're going to get to your point in a moment. I know Stash has a lot to say on this. But I think that, like, yeah, we don't have the raw data and the studies to prove it. But we have actual game developers like this guy saying, hey, it don't really matter if you fucking know. I know. I'm in the industry. I've seen it hurt my colleagues, and it's hurt me personally. And we're not just talking about emotional. We're talking like actually hurts our jobs, makes our jobs harder, loses jobs, creates less jobs. And we're in an industry where there's a bunch of industry layoffs, and there's a whole bunch of reasons to blame for it. And I am not taking blame off publishers and all that, and bad spending and overspending and, you know, releasing broken games over and over again. Ubisoft, hey, You know, you kind of made your own bet a little bit with constantly releasing broken games all the time. It finally caught up to you with Star Wars Outlaws. Shadows, you delayed it intentionally, and that one seems to have hit your sales expectations. It's what you said publicly, anyways. So yeah, maybe Shadows is the start of your turnaround where you met expectations with that game, and so now maybe you can start turning it around with future releases. I have no idea, obviously, if Ubisoft learned any lessons. And there's a whole bunch of reasons that the industry has had problems. COVID led to overspending because COVID was like everyone's at home and everyone had money at the time, so we were overspending on at-home entertainment. So that led to overinvestment in the industry as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff, inflating budgets, thinking every game has to chase everything needs to use Unreal Engine 5 and go for the top tier visuals imaginable, but yet the games run like shit when they come out because the optimization is so hard with that engine. Like there's just a lot. And it's hard because I'm not a game developer, but I know game developers, and they've told me about how all this stuff that this guy brought up does hurt the industry from the inside. But they also are very careful, and I want to be very careful how I say this. They also know that there's a lot of corporate greed, and there's a lot of really bad decisions from the top. So, yeah.
I've just the only thing I want to jump on real quick on what you said, Prime, is that's like confusing to me, is that why would anyone not know or not realize that piracy would negatively affect studios? Like I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
I think the assumption is that people that pirate, like truly pirate, and I'm talking about dumping your own games. That's a legal protected thing in the US. You can dump your own games. You already bought the game. Company got your money. But the people that actually pirate, especially like brand new games, I think the assumption is none of those people would buy the game otherwise.
Right, but if it's
that's usually
anyways. If I open up a lemonade stand on my street and I'm selling Game Bird's famous lemonade, but then there's someone in my neighborhood who's notified the vast majority, if not all of the neighbors, like, hey, I've been sneaking Game Bird's inventory, his bottled lemonade inventory. I'll share it with you guys for free. It's delicious. You should try it.
Yeah, just don't tell them I stole it.
Would it be shocking that my sales were impacted when I realized the neighborhood's no longer showing up to? It's just like I'm trying to explain it in like really basic terms, but like I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea of like stealing from a company doesn't negatively affect the people who are making the product.
And again,
there's no out here.
Yeah, people just focus on the biggest of big companies where like, yeah, for them it's a blip on the radar, right? Like someone hacks an iPhone, they're $1 trillion company, right? Like no one's gonna feel bad for Apple.
Right.
I got a great example for you guys.
Yeah.
Real quick. I just want to last thing is that I'm not excusing greedy companies. Obviously, companies are greedy. This has nothing to do with that. I'm simply asking why wouldn't you think that stealing video games wouldn't negatively impact the teams making those video games? I'm not talking about greed at all. That's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
We're just talking about like people have been like, oh, does it impact it?
I think the word is entitlement.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
Someone said it.
Theft is always going to negatively impact, period. There's no outs there. There's everything else is bullshit after that. That's the truth. You can't say that, well, this person wasn't going to buy it anyways, so does it really count? That's total bullshit. That's not how it works. Theft hurts in so many ways. And, we talk about these big companies, right? And how maybe it won't affect the big companies. So Michaela's she's born in Oregon. So if there's anything crazy that comes out of there and I see it online, I'll send it to her. Portland, Oregon, closed both of their Walmarts, the only 2 Walmart locations, due to rampant theft. And now everyone's complaining because they don't have their Walmart to go to anymore. But you guys fucked it up. because everyone stole. And obviously it's not everyone, but you guys get my point. They stole so much that this giant corporation, Walmart, had to close. I mean, obviously, if Walmart has to close, it's affecting the bottom line. It's a bad business choice to stay open. We've seen this happen in other places too. We won't get into detail here, but theft is always going to hurt whether you're a mom and pop place or you're a huge place like Walmart. You got to understand too that there are incentives tied to sales. Okay. If you get hired in at say 60,000 on a contract, okay, to work as a developer on this game, and you took this contract because you know this game is going to be awesome and that it is going to exceed sales goals. Like when you signed that contract and you saw that, hey, if it sells this amount of units, I get a 20% bonus. That makes up for what I should be getting paid. Like I took the job, I took the contract at say 50,000. But honestly, I should be getting paid like 80 or 90 to do this job. But because of these incentives, and I'm confident because I'm going to give it my all. I know we can hit those and I'll get paid that and more. And then you don't because they pirated the game. You don't hit the sales goals, and now something that you thought you were going to make, you don't. And then alternatively, hey, guess what? Not only are you not going to get that 20% bonus, we have to let you go now too because we didn't hit those sales goals. Dude, it is a huge, massive domino effect. Okay, and then guess what? Now this person, they can't pay their mortgage. And it's happened to so many people. Now we have the 2007, 2008 mortgage crisis. Oh, and then you know what? Now we have credit problem in the United States. It's even worse than it is. And now nobody can get a house because their debt to income ratio is through the roof and their credit score is horrible. It is a avalanche that never stops. This is why you can't have it. And this is why he very clearly says in here that you have to have laws and they have to be abided by. Now, look, I don't know where he's from. I'm going to presume Japan because it's auto-translated as Japanese.
Yeah.
I've talked about it many times on here before, the way we operate here in the West, here in America versus Japan, other countries. Every country, we can all look at it from what we can see, right? Whatever they want to show on TV, whatever the approved message is. But we know how things are here in this country. And a lot of people do a lot of shitty things and they fuck it up for everybody all the time. We see this in the workplace too. Someone does something stupid. What does everyone say? This is why we can't have nice things. Always, man. This is a reoccurring theme since we were in school. And then we become adults and in the workplace, it becomes a reoccurring theme. But it all stems from a lack of respect for the law, a lack of respect for other people. Something we talk about a lot is what? Common sense. This is common decency, okay? Both of those things are uncommon now, and they have been for a while, and it sucks, but this is the fact. But this all stems across a lack of respect for, mankind, for your brothers, for your sisters out there, a lack of respect for the law. And this is why people do whatever the F they want. It's not good. This way I can't condone piracy, If we want the video game industry to grow into something bigger and better than what it was when we first started playing video games, it never is going to if people keep stealing. They keep stealing items off the shelf. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. And for anyone to say that, personally, if they think that pirating a new video game is okay, I mean, you guys know what my answer always is. They probably got brain rot. This is fact. I feel sorry for them.
No cap.
Yeah.
I'll also say this. I'm reading the chat a little bit. I'm not going to get into some of the stuff that Stash said, because there's other reasons that some of those things happened as well. But what I will note is, someone brought up, it's up to, like Nintendo to protect their IPs, and they have to learn how to secure it. Guys, they have an answer. It's called all digital. Is that what you want? Because that's the only way to stop it. And you might go, well, on PC, you're right. Yeah, on PC, people still pirate, and there'll still be a way to do it, but it'll stop all the piracy pre-launch. Can't have piracy pre-launch if there's no game to grab pre-launch. And you want to make it even worse? DRM.
Mm-hmm.
And why do these things exist? He talked about this in his tweets. Like, these measures that make things worse for consumers exist because of piracy. If piracy just wouldn't happen, especially on new games, we wouldn't have DRM. We wouldn't have the threat of taking physical copies away. We wouldn't have all games do online checks. Like, these are the measures that come in place to stop it. And all it does is make the product worse for general consumers. Well, if piracy would just, do ethically, that they always say it's all about preservation. Well, guess what? There's nothing, no one's worrying about preserving a game that just came out.
No.
Someone dumped it somewhere. Doesn't have to be leaked online. Doesn't have to have everyone playing it right now. You can maybe do that when the game has reached its expiration point and is no longer available for sale. Someone wants to put the ROM online. Fine, I'll listen. But like, it's happening to brand new games, and it's wild to me that, like, yes, it's up to these companies to put the protection measures in. You know what they do every time they do it? They get yelled at because they're making it worse for gamers, but they have to do that because of what's happening. So basically, what he was trying to point out is all the defense to pirate games, especially like new games, falls apart when you realize that the defense of having to preserve things is bullshit with brand new games.
Mm-hmm.
It's utter bullshit. We're not talking about games from 40 years ago. We're talking about games that released today, yesterday, being pirated right now. That shit doesn't need to be happening. There's no defense for it. Even if you're like, well, the game's too expensive. So fucking what? I can't afford a Lamborghini. I'm not going to go fucking steal one.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just can't own shit. As N64 Josh, you are not entitled to shit you can't afford. This is not an essential good. This isn't you starving and having to go steal some food from the grocery store. These are luxury goods in the first place. Optional entertainment. You are not entitled to it if you can't afford it. And that sucks. And it's not me saying you're broke. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're not entitled to something because you can't afford it when it's literally an entertainment good. You're not entitled because your friends can't afford to go to the movie theater. To go to the movie theater, take your phone out and bootleg the fucking movie for your friends. No, you're not entitled to do that. There's reason these laws exist. These are optional entertainment mediums. It's extremely illegal. And I'm not saying when you do that to these big movie studios and yes, the biggest of the big companies aren't hurt as much by it because they have so much interest in their products. They have so many sales anyways. I understand that. It's the justification to do it. That's the problem. With brand new games, there's no reason to pirate that's legal. That makes any sense. It is legal to back up a game you bought. Sure, no one's going to bitch if you backed up a game you legally purchased and you play it on an emulator. Nobody gives a shit. That's not what's happening. It's people actually playing like brand new games without buying them and then arguing it's game preservation. Motherfucker, you're playing the game. You ain't preserving it.
Yeah, if this happened to a game like, let's just say Prime 4, let's just say, couple month and a half before launch, Prime 4 was just getting pirated all over the place, that'd be a death sentence for the Prime series. Like, this is a game that needs to sell to survive. It would be a death sentence. Yeah. It would be the last nail in the coffin. Yeah, we'd probably get like your, every once in a blue moon, your 2D Metroid, game like Dread, the follow-up to Dread or something like that. maybe one a generation. But yeah, this there was back on the Wii. This was the very first, I think it was my first indie game that I ever bought, and I loved it. And it was, I think the developer, if I remember correctly, is 2D Boy. It's World of Goo.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Loved it. Made by two people, and I believe at the time when it came out, it was the most pirated game, and that game was a critical smash hit. And those two people, that should have been a career-defining moment for them, and unfortunately, instead, they didn't make a dime on it. Those two guys who slaved away to make such a unique masterpiece indie game. If I'm remembering this story correctly, I don't want to misquote, so I'll double check, but I'm almost positive I remember reading about this. Yeah, it had a 90% piracy rate when it came out.
Which game was that?
World of Goo, the first one on Wii. Jeez. I remember being so stoked for these guys because they're like, dude, this is insane. This game rocks. Like, and I was so excited. I mean, we just now in the last year got World of Goo 2.
Last August, World of Goo 2 came out. That's when they probably recouped costs, found a way.
They had a couple games come before I forget what they're called. Two really fascinating games, but they weren't as, they didn't have like the mechanical depth. Like they're definitely much lighter games than World of Goo. But
yeah, so they didn't go out of business. But also, like if World of Goo would have got the sales that the interest in the game seems to indicate it should have, we would have probably had World of Goo 2 a lot sooner. And the company could have had more investment in their other games as well. They could have been
they could have been like a yacht club, or they could have been like Team Cherry. You never know. You know? So it's I don't know. That's why I'm like saying for people to sit here and act like it doesn't have any consequence on developers. It does.
No.
And it's not just AAA games. Like that's the thing that's so silly about it, is like people act like, oh, well, if they didn't charge so much, we wouldn't do it. I'm like, well, why are you doing it to indie games? Why are you doing it to a $15 game that was made by two people that they spent 10 years of their life working on, and now they'll never make another game again? And they're in debt.
It's selfish
for the next
it's
20
selfish
years.
though. These people that do this are selfish, and they don't look at the big picture. All they look at is how they can achieve their own goal, which is to get the game for free. They don't care if someone loses their job over it. You know, this isn't hard to understand. None of this is. It's a very simple thing. We all know the difference between right and wrong. You can't tell me that you can't ask a person with a fully functioning brain, even a half functioning, if it's right or wrong to steal. Okay, right? I think we all know this. If you go to a classroom of kindergartners and ask them if it's right or wrong to steal, they're going to tell you it's wrong.
Yeah,
this is easy. There's no in between here.
As I said, there is extreme circumstances in countries and worlds where like people are stealing, like kids are stealing like bare basic necessities, like a piece of fucking bread, a loaf of bread, some fucking water. Like, I understand that you're in a situation that really sucks that shouldn't exist. And I'm really sorry. And hopefully your country, the world can do things and make it better for you. But the problem is we're not talking about that. We're talking about something you don't have
talking about video games.
And no offense to anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, we should all be smart enough to realize we'd never compare video games or toys or movies to
essentials,
like medical
essentials
stuff,
of life.
Toilet paper, water.
Well, it's wants and needs in life.
Yeah.
And again, these are things we should have learned a long time ago.
And I know
wants and needs.
Like for all the complaints that come up, because I'll admit, it seems that a lot of the bitching comes from the U.S. based on what I'm seeing online.
It does.
But there are places that have worse than us. Brazil, gaming in Brazil insane. You basically gotta be rich.
It's because there's chronic complaining here in this country. It has been for a long time, and it sucks.
Yeah.
This is why I don't do social media.
But I'm just pointing out that like other countries actually have it worse with their prices. And I know that piracy is a thing there as well. Piracy is worldwide. But it's just, I don't know, man. Like maybe it's just the way I was raised, but it's like there's other things you can do in life besides play video games. You know, I used to play neighborhood baseball with the neighbors, and we didn't have a baseball. We barely had gloves, and so we were taking old pop cans and shoving rocks in them and crushing them. We were pitching them and swinging bats and like shards of metal flying, and one of the stupidest things. But we had a blast because that's what we had to play with, because we didn't have the proper shit to play because shit's expensive and none of our parents had any fucking money. You know, ideally you're using a wiffle ball or something. None of us fucking had one. We're kids. We couldn't afford it. So you make do. Like when I was even younger than that, I grew up extremely poor. People might not know this. I was very, very poor growing up. I basically didn't even have toys when I was a little kid. I would go outside and dig rocks out of the ground and try to like stack them and build walls, and then like take a rock and like throw it at it. Like we're playing like there's a board game that's like that where you shoot like little discs and knock down the walls.
Crossbows and catapults.
Yeah. Except I'm making a homemade version because we can't fucking afford it. I didn't have a fucking football as a kid or a basketball. Like I did as I got older. My parents finally got better jobs, but from like the age of like 0 to fucking like 7, I didn't have any of this shit. Video games? You fucking kidding me? There was an NES in the house that was my dad's from when he was a kid. We didn't buy new games for it. We just played whatever games he had when he was a kid. Like it was wild because like grew up with nothing, and I didn't bitch about it. You know, like couldn't afford video games. Yeah, we'd rent some sometimes, but that still wasn't like I was renting them all the time. You know, and if I did, it's because I paid for it, not my parents. I went and shoveled driveways, mowed lawns, earned my own money to rent games. I still couldn't afford to buy them, but at least I could play. And here we are. It's like, oh, you know, a game is, you know, no game should be $80 or $70. It's so anti-consumer. I'm like, okay. And don't buy it then.
Yeah,
doesn't mean you should pirate it.
Wait for Black Friday.
What cured me? What cured me, like if it's a disease, but what like changed my perspective. It was early 2000s. I was playing in a metal band, and we had to front all the money for our recordings, our CD, like our, you know, we're putting our CDs out at our shows. And I remember somebody walking up to the merch table, and their friend bought a CD, and I was like, "Are you going to get one?" They're like, "Oh, I'll just burn theirs."
I remember that.
And that's all it took. That's all it took for me to be like, wow, like all the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this music, and the cost to try to recoup any of this stuff.
Yeah, that was like my first introduction to piracy when I was younger was music CDs getting burned and downloading MP3s and stuff. And it was wild because like up until a certain point, dude, I had a huge disc collection. You know,
BMG, baby. We all had bad credit thanks to BMG at like age 12.
Yeah.
So many CDs.
You know, I did it.
But then it was like what, when we got to like the early 2000s, and it's like, oh, I think that's around the time I stopped buying discs. Why? My car will play MP3s. I just plug a little USB drive in.
Right.
Or if I have one of those cassette play tapes, you know, you put in the cassette player and you have the CD player, you have a burned disc on there.
Well, and I said this recently too, like it's like that. It's like,
does the audience even know what cassette tapes are anymore? I just
right.
am I going too old school here? You had to rewind them with a pencil sometimes when the rewind function would break.
your tape deck would eat the tape. You have to
eat the
like
tape
try to
and
get it out without tearing it.
Yeah, without
Like,
tearing it. And then like I did tear it once and I put a little tiny piece of tape on it to put it back together. And one song would be fucked up, but if I fast forward past that one song, we're good.
Yep. Oh yeah. 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 It's the I look at gamers like the lady in line trying to save 50 cents on her $2 candy bar with a coupon. And she's mad because it is expired or it won't work. And it's like, I feel like there's this weird thing that's inside most of us that it's like us against businesses, right? Like if you don't get charged for something at the grocery store or whatever, you're like, I won. You know what I mean? Or like that's the mentality that it seems like people have when they, you know, as if these businesses are the enemy. And it's like that's where you're going to get your groceries. This is where you're going to get your entertainment. Like I've had people get so mad at me because they're like, this is art. Like games are art. Great. You still have to, it's still a business at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, it is a business.
Yeah.
And
art costs money.
It does. It does. It absolutely does. And so I just, it's hard to have conversations online because of this kind of stuff, because I'm just like look for creative ways to go make some money. Like I've said this on my shows multiple times. Like go on Facebook, go on Craigslist free, pick something up and go sell it on Facebook Marketplace, and then go buy whatever you want. Right? All it's gonna take you is a little bit of time to go pick something up and then deliver it and meet somebody else. And it's literally free cash. There's creative ways out there to make some money if you want to. But I think I'm watching the chat and everything. I think there are people that don't work that want to enjoy gaming, and pirating is the way that they, can do that. And then I have people in my community that are younger, and the Switch 2 is out and they couldn't get it day one. They had to wait. They finally did get one a little bit later, but they were upset just at the pricing because like they just didn't want to miss out, like it's not like, but they weren't going to go out and like start pirating stuff or whatever. They just knew they were going to have to be patient and save some money and make it happen, and I felt for those people because they want to be, they want to be in the in the early adopters, right? They want to be right there and in the conversation, and it wasn't happening just due to life circumstances.
Yeah,
but
that's normal though. That's normal. That happens to all of us throughout our lives with certain things, whether it's a trip or a specific item or an event. Like there, you mentioned earlier, Nate, concerts and stuff, and going with Yulia. There's been concerts where like I've wanted to go so bad and I've almost pulled the trigger, but I had to be like, oh, would this be responsible? Like I can't really afford it.
Yeah,
I've got bills coming up.
So we've been dating 14 years. First time we ever went to a concert.
Yeah,
it's like I couldn't justify it, but then now that I've done it once, I'm like, okay.
I've skipped out on shows where it's been like, oh, this might be my last opportunity to see this band because they're old and they're probably gonna retire, and I've missed out, and it sucks. Like I get that, like it sucks, and I'll be bummed out about it for a few days or for a week, or I'll think about it a month later and be like, man, I wish I could have gone. But like that's normal. That's a normal part of life. We can't. Most people can't do everything and anything when they want to all the time. Like that's
I'd like to go to every home Packer game. But
like it's okay to be excited and really want a Switch 2 and not be able to afford it and wait a few months. Like that's just a normal part of life. It sucks, like especially if you feel that kind of that FOMO, and it's always awesome to be a part of like that initial wave and excitement. It's happened with me with console releases. I've been lucky most releases through my life, but there have been a couple that I got later because it was harder to get my hands on, or I didn't have the funds at the time, especially when I was younger, and I'm in college and working like a crappy minimum wage job, and I'm all those early adult life responsibilities for the first time. So, I mean, I feel for the situation, but it is a normal part of life. And like I said, you're not going to be able to do anything and everything that you want to do right away.
We need a devil's advocate. I guess that'll be me. It's always morally correct to pirate Nintendo. How many times have we seen that online? Sky sort of listen. You got any thoughts on this?
I pretty much would echo everything you guys say. I really don't advocate piracy, especially for like newer games. I do understand to an extent like the really older games and like the lack of accessibility, but in the end, it's just gonna hurt. Like you might not think it is because they make a lot of money, but they need the money to pay the people to make this stuff. So if the people making the stuff don't get the money that they need, then they can't work there anymore, and then there's no more games.
Simple as that, right?
So, you just literally summarized the entire last 40 minutes of conversation in like 2 sentences. It was great.
But Alyssa, for research purposes, have you ever pirated before?
Oh, putting her on
I guess so. I guess I did.
Was it a game?
Was it a game you already owned?
Yeah, it was Ocarina of Time. I wanted to play it on my MacBook because I was in middle school and I wanted to play it on the bus.
Yeah, that.
Sure. Well, at least you already owned it. You know,
Yeah.
like, they got the money.
You didn't pirate an early copy of Tears of the Kingdom, though, did you?
No. And I don't even know how to dump games. I don't know how to do any of that.
Do you guys know anyone?
Most consumers don't, but you know.
I tried to mod Skyrim and I got to a certain point and then it just stopped working and I was like, okay, that was like 10 hours. I don't know where I went wrong and I don't know that I want to start.
Yeah. Modding games can be like that sometimes. Real fun, but you break shit all the time.
Like I just want to look a little nicer.
Yeah.
I will say to like touch on part of what this developer was saying that like I maybe don't necessarily agree with them is like I don't know that Nintendo, and this is just honest, like I don't know that I am on board with Nintendo consciously making the decision like, hey, we got to take this is gonna suck, we're gonna take all the heat for it, but like this is the right thing to do and this is what we got to do for the industry.
Yeah, I also don't think Nintendo is making the decisions for the industry.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear.
Yeah.
Nintendo makes the best decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
If it happens to have a benefit for other companies, I think
that's a side effect.
Like I'll say this: like game key cards, Nintendo doesn't use them for their stuff. So where did the idea come from? They talked to third parties. That's what they wanted. Third parties want things to be all digital. Nintendo probably would love for things to be all digital. They just know we still have a really high percentage of people that buy physical, so we're going to keep supporting it. Third party sales, guys, like. If you look at other platforms, it's like 80-20 digital versus physical for a lot of even the big AAA games. Like, you know, they would rather it go that way. So it's interesting because that's a decision that game key cards, I do think that was actually made for the partners, and that's why that decision was made. But it's very interesting. Because, like, what did the guy mention about key cards? He says, like, it helps protect against piracy or stuff like that. Like, that was one of the piracy points. But still allows them to have a retail presence. I think another one was, there was another comment I think he responded to, or something about, like, managing inventory. Like, not having lost inventory. Like, you made too much of something and it didn't sell. And then you got to eat all that. With game key cards, it's, like, such a low risk item that even if the key card doesn't sell well, you didn't really lose a whole lot.
I still don't fully understand like all the hate surrounding key cards. That still baffles me a little bit. Obviously, I fully understand people wanting physical games that have the full game on it. That I understand 100%. Yeah. I understand people who want all digital for how seamless the experience it is. It's convenient. You have everything there. You don't have to worry about losing a cartridge. I won't lose my cartridges, but there's a lot of people who will, especially if kids. I've almost had it happen with my kids.
I have
my Mario Wonder anywhere. Everyone swears they put it back.
I don't know where my copy of Odyssey is. It's just gone.
But I've gotten lucky to where I've been able to recover it. Key cards, it's it's kind of a neat creative solution. It's a fun in between to where like listen, it is technically a digital copy, but it's also giving someone a physical, tangible item. So if you're a collector, it's better than all digital, and you could resell it. Like the code is locked to the card, not to the console. So it's just an interesting in between that to me is delaying the inevitable that the people who ultimately hate game key cards are even more scared of. And it's like stalling that future, in my opinion.
I think people view it as it's accelerating that future. Because what they're scared of is all digital. Game key cards are still digital, so they're still part of the
digital. But
I know we look at the physical, but for collectors, yeah, they just like to collect things. Stash likes to collect things, but people that defend physical and really want physical, it's because hey, I have this. They can't take it away from me. Its lifespan only ends if I break it, lose it, or 40 years from now it stops working. Which people aren't worried about 40 years from now, and I don't need the internet for it.
Right, but fighting to stop game cards to prevent the digital future.
Digital is happening anyways.
Yeah, it's like fighting to stop aging of humanity.
Here's what I also don't get.
It's like pursuing immortality. It's fruitless. Let it go.
Like
we're all gonna die.
Frankly about this, and I'm not trying to push console wars. I've noticed there's this unique thing where Nintendo gets attacked for anything that seems to start to favor a little bit on the digital side, like game key cards. But where is the massive amounts of shit show backlash against Xbox and PlayStation having digital only systems?
Well, it's not only that, Nate. You go to the store today, you go to the Xbox section.
Oh, there's like nothing.
There's like no physical games. They stopped doing that basically. We know this.
Or all the discs they do have, they all say download required, so that they're just irrelevant anyways. They're basically
they have like no retail presence. That's the thing, is that game key cards slowly migrate us right here, this age group. It migrates this age group to the all digital future. Yeah. Everybody else is already on board.
It's already happening.
We're the only ones holding out. That's it. Yeah. And it's gonna happen, and it is what it is. Dude, this is nothing to be upset about.
I see PC strongly race people like blasting key cards, and I'm like, what the fuck are you even in this conversation for? All your games are digital. What are you even doing talking about this? Like, why do you care? You only buy digital games.
Yeah.
I can't even recommend people buy physical, to be honest. I've already told you guys on the pod my fear. How likely next gen I'm making the full leap to digital, except for maybe special occasions where there's like a certain collector's edition or certain games. But the thing is, we're all going to be left behind. If you don't, the later you jump, the more left behind you're going to be, because eventually your entire library will not carry over to the next system.
That's true.
And it's going to be we're sorry. This is once there's no physical option on a new piece of hardware, everything that you bought, you will no longer be able to play going forward on new hardware. So if you want to play your previous gen games on the next gen, you better start buying digital. So like I'm a hypocrite. I'm going to continue to buy first party Nintendo games physically because I'm a collector and I love that stuff, but I can't recommend it to people.
I'm just nostalgic for midnight.
I just can't.
That's what it is for me. Like the big games still have them. So it's like when the new Zelda comes, the new 3D Mario, goddamn right, I want a midnight launch.
Yeah.
Like I'm nostalgic for it. I grew up with that shit. It's a communal event.
There's nothing like the smell of GameStop at a midnight launch. That's good.
But dude, seriously, I don't even mind the smell, man. Bring it on. Dude, the Switch 2 launch, fucking amazing, man. I love that shit.
Yeah,
I love that shit, man. And I don't want to have to just wait for new hardware launches to have that. We used to get that with every major game release when I finally became of age that I could afford my own games, right? Like, it was awesome, dude. Being at there, launch for Skyward Sword, launch for Mario Galaxy. Like, dude, all the World of Warcraft expansion pack launches. when you used to have to buy the discs.
Yo, when COD and Pokemon came out at the same time, that was such
Dude,
a crazy mix of people
wild.
in line.
Yeah, be like, what are you here for? Call of Duty or Pokemon? Well, what do you think? I'm playing on Game Boy right now. What the fuck do you think I'm here for? And then you have the people that are, I'm here for both.
Yep.
I'm getting both. It is what it is. I play handheld and console. I got them both. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, sweet. But nah, it's, obviously I love communal gaming events. Like it's awesome. Even like PAX West, like it's such a community. Like I don't have to know all the people there. It's just so cool watching people. Everyone's here for games. And this is awesome. You don't get it at those like conventions these days. So obviously there's other things what's up?
You mentioned it like with music too, like, as it went digital now, like touring and going to the shows and buying the merch and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Nintendo almost seems to be hedging their bets with like the possibility of Switch 2 not doing the same kind of Switch 1 numbers, but they're selling, that flower, right? Like that's kind of like merch from a concert at the end of the day. You go to Super Nintendo Land, it's like all of this exclusive stuff.
Is anyone getting the flower, by the way?
I'm getting 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it.
Nice.
I want it on my desk at work, so when people walk by, it just starts talking to them, scares the shit out of them.
I am going to wait and see. Like, I know they said what it is, and they showed off like one thing it said. I want to see like how much it interrupts and how much crazy shit it does, because I want to use it to wake my kids up randomly.
It says it's not an interactive item. I think you have to press the button.
I thought they said they talk randomly.
Yeah, like a Furby.
Yeah, it said out loud. They said out loud that it actually will. You might be able to turn it off, but it said that it does have like it'll just randomly talk to you out of nowhere.
Gotcha.
Nice. No, whether it has like a camera or motion sensing, I don't know what it's determining when to talk.
Stick it in your head and all of a sudden in the middle of the night it starts talking. Son of a
Yo, if you ever have dealt with Furbies, they are nightmares.
Dude. Dude.
Don't get them wet or feed them after midnight.
I remember whipping it. Dude, I was a teenager. I whipped that fucking thing against the wall because I couldn't get the battery pack off to turn it the fuck off. Like, where's my dad's screwdrivers? I can't fucking find them. Like smashing it.
At least the flower doesn't look like a freaking devil reincarnated.
Next day, put the Furby in my sister's room, and it's like half broken. The voice boxes, and it's like fuck off. And I'm like, yeah, I taught it that. I taught it that. Take the fucking Furby, get the fuck out of here. My kids wanted a. Oh, I remember it was one of my kids wanted a Furby. There was like when Furbies came back for like one holiday. My kids saw a commercial. I want a Furby. I took one look at Yuli and I said, if you buy my kid a fucking Furby, I'm leaving. like I am not having this fucking demon in my house again. No, I had to grow up with this shit. We're not doing it. We're not doing it again. Nightmare fuel, man.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I grew up watching like Gremlins, so it just felt like I had a fucking gremlin in my room.
Right.
That's just gonna fucking do whatever the fuck it wants when it wants to.
Don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.